Welcome back. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on NewsX. India has tightened its immigration framework once again. The centre has notified changes to the Immigration and Foreigners Rules 2025, requiring foreign nationals seeking to stay beyond 180 days to register before the expiry of that period, replacing the earlier provision that allowed registration after the 180-day threshold. The amendments also introduce a formal online appeals mechanism and limit delayed registrations to exceptional or emergency circumstances. But this is more about paperwork. More than paperwork, rather. The move fits into a broader shift in India's security paradigm, where migration management is increasingly being linked to national security, border control, biometric tracking, and real-time monitoring of foreign nationals. The Immigration and Foreigners Act 2025 itself consolidated multiple legacy laws into a single framework, giving authorities greater oversight over the entry, stay, movement, and exit of foreigners. As illegal migration concerns and cross-border security threats grow, India is moving towards a more technology-driven, compliance-focused immigration scheme, one that seeks to balance openness with tighter scrutiny. RVS Mani, former Home Secretary, is joining us live. Ambassador Sushil Singhal, former diplomat, is also joining us. Major General Sudhakarji, defense expert, joins the broadcast, as does Adit Kothari, international affairs expert. Let me make a start with you first on what you make, RVS Mani, of these new changes, the need of the hour. Should it have happened earlier? Or is it a fallout of what we've seen at the borders with the illegal immigrants now being expatriated back?
It's a combination of both, Uday, because certain piecemeal measures have been happening since 2014, including strengthening of the FRROs and all. Let us be very clear that FRROs was in most states were still with the state government police, and now for that the laxity on the part of this program, because of certain political leadership or differences between the political leadership, was also one of the things which was plaguing it. So a uniform digitalized system has been put in forth with the enabling rules and provisions and etc. It's a very, very welcome step. See, the Honorable Home Ministry is working on two fronts. One is the reinforcement of the border, impregnable border. He has already stated that with the Bengal and Tripura, Bengal and Assam coming into the fold, the rapid fencing and rapid stoppage of infrastructure on the border will be, investments will take place on infrastructure, including fencing, floodlighting, border roads, etc. That's one part of the story, because that is where the illegal immigrants were the basic problem. Indeed, illegal immigrants do come from the LOC. They are of a different kind. They don't intend to stay here. They come here to create trouble based on the POK or Park-based ISI sponsored thing. That is one story. But to make a residency here was a bigger problem. They were indulging in organized crime syndicates, small-time crime, drug peddling, including they have been found in the Makkah Masjid case of 2007. Sharifuddin was a Bangladeshi illegal who was one of the persons involved in the Makkah Masjid bomb blast. So they were in a very large canvas of illegal activity, anti-India activity, radicalization, all these things. There have been instances, for example, Zakir Naik's followers has also been, he also has his fans in Bangladesh who, out of motivation and radicalization, come over to India. It has been reported. So this is a large canvas. Apart from that, many Pakistani brides who have come and married here and stayed here have been going on unnoticed. So the 6 months rule of continuous, prior to the expiry of the 6 months, the continuous reporting to the FRRA or informing or seeking extension to the FRRA, that provision was there, but that after the expiry of FRRA, they have to report, but now it is prior to the expiry, and also made it digitalized with biometric, etc. is a very, very excellent step, so that it becomes much and more robust and impregnable, that anybody could really escape or get evaporated into the Indian country, large mass of 1.5 crores of people, that they go unnoticed. That type of things are not going to happen. I'm sure it will be the state police, the state government will also, irrespective of their political leadership and the helm of affairs, will continue to support this, because it is not just happening in Bangladesh or Indo-Bangladesh border or Indo-Nepal border, or it is also happening. The very important thing is they have also strengthened a very important rule they have made. many fugitives from Indian law are able to travel through the road route, the lax Indo-Nepal border, and fly out of with the Indian passport and fly out of Nepal. For that also they have introduced a condition that they will have to inform the Indian embassy before flying out of border. That is also a very, very important step to curb the cross-national, multinational, transnational crime syndicates operating within India with the Indian passport holders and the foreign passport. So there are a galaxy of things which have been addressed, ought to be covered under it through this robust steps. We should appreciate the Honorable Home Minister for this excellent step. It is actually keeping up with the times. That is what I wanted to say. That is the most
Ambassador
important. Keeping
Sushil
up with the
Singhal,
challenges.
Ambassador Sushil Singhal, we're seeing it, of course, all across the world. But how important is this strengthening of rules, this new framework for India?
Well, as the former Home Secretary has pointed out, the India has been facing the problem of not only the illegal immigrant, but also the problem which comes to India legally, and then overstayed and they fall off the radar. So I think these changes which is being brought about, I think they were it was long warranted and help us to control illegal immigrant. I will not touch here because it's totally different subject. It's being handled differently, and they do not fall in any case in this in these regulations. So when it comes to the legal people who come legally, we keep hearing cases that somebody came for 6 months or 2 months or 3 months and he overstayed, and then nobody was able to keep track of them. So I think this is an attempt to keep track of the legally people who enter India legally and make sure that they are accounted for. As it was mentioned that some people, they indulge in legal activities. These changes in regulations will help the concerned departments to keep track and ensure the people who are coming to India legally, they go back or they are regularized in the manner that the government of India knows where they are and what they are. I think this is the most important aspect. And of course, it was Nepal and Angela was also mentioned, but I think that requires some more, much more, just informing the embassy. I think we have to work out some system with the government of Nepal that Indian passport holder going to a third country from there. Some regulations, I think, ultimately would be required. But I think that's a battle. I think that has to be stepwise we have to take. But I think it's very, very important, and it was timely move to ensure that the people who come legally in India, they are accounted for.
Okay, let me quickly, in fact, take this to Major General Sudhakarji as well. Major General Sudhakarji, it's also going to happen through technology. How important is it to use technology for the right reasons, to track, of course, all of these legal immigrations and possible overstays as well, and make sure we have a proper record of it through this strengthened framework? Also, Major General Sudhakarji, we've seen recently how there have been certain foreign nationals found in places where they shouldn't have been. Will all of this change that?
Yeah, Uday, good evening. Thank you for taking me for your show, and my warm greetings to very distinguished and esteemed co-panelists. Let me respond to the last part of your question. Yes, there were a good number of Ukrainians who were found in Northeast, to be precise, in Manipur, and it was preceded by some foreign nationals who were picked up in Lucknow, in Kolkata, and also in Srinagar in the recent past. But more than that, there are many other things which are actually linked to the issue we are discussing. And one such issue coming to my mind is when you deal with the neighborhood, you see, essentially this is basically to streamline the procedure and refine it in a manner so that we have some sense of accountability as to who is coming and who is not, because there are different kinds of rules for different kinds of border. The border with Myanmar, earlier it is to have 40 kilometers during night time, FMR. Now I believe it came down to 16 and further down to 10 kilometers. So we have been harping on the point that there has to be some system of visa, even if you don't have the passports or the registration, have some documentation. Now the technology issue which you are asking, this is where I am coming to. Here the technology is going to come very handy. I have operated myself when I was there in Middle East as a president of a multinational company. It started with a small little industry. People never used to come on time. So we started with the biometrics. Biometrics went missing. It so happened that, and we have to post the guards. So these are the inherent problems which will keep happening until unless it gets fully entrenched. So technology also will have a requirement to have skilled labor. People have to be upskilled in their education, in their exposure. So therefore, the entry level people have to be accordingly taken in. And technology itself will have an ecosystem. Firstly, we need to have educated people. We have to bring in technology. We have to have maintenance process for that. And to make technology operational, we have to have power and unhindered supply of electricity. So those kind of things have to be catered for, and there will be extra cost required for the same, but it is going to be near foolproof. It will give you adequate advance notice that so and so person had come, he is not gone back, he needs to be sent a reminder, maybe the police station has to be told, or the panchayat, gram panchayat sarpanch has to be informed, or the ward member has to be informed, and accordingly, because every such kind of entry has to have a mobile number, a 10-digit mobile number, so that in case of failure in any chain of communication, a direct interference or direct reaching out can also be achieved. Last point that you have asked me is about how far can it be implemented. I personally feel there is a long way to go. We have just made, it's a tip of the iceberg, just a humble beginning has been made. And for this to make it more friendly and user friendly, we need to educate our own people and see as to how best they can be adopted and adapted in a quick time frame, so that the main objective of doing this, as on today, I don't think the main objective is clear. There is a clarity, although Mr. Mani, he brought out certain points, but still I am not clear for what purpose is it being.
Okay. Okay.
Therefore, the objective has to be defined,
Okay.
and the objective to achieve those objectives, what are the means
Yes.
and method? A standing operating procedure.
Let
has
me
to
bring
be-
in Adit Kothari. Let me bring in Adit Kothari at this juncture as well on what he makes of these tweaks in the rules. Need of the hour, Adit, according to you, will they lead to controversy or not? Also, Adit, do you believe it's connected with what we've been seeing across the border with these movements, of course, of illegal immigrants? Or do you believe it's something that was coming for a while and should not be pegged with anything else?
Before I start, let me start by saying I can't believe this is for the first time that I'm actually going to be disagreeing with Major General Sudhakarji.
Okay.
Because there is a clear pattern with this, and the government is basically treating the illegal immigration problem into India as a jigsaw puzzle. So they're basically putting all the pieces together. Now, when we look at this new regulation that's come in, why this is so important is because it's modernizing the law, as you put it out, but it's also simplifying it and ensuring that there is enforcement behind it. For example, from an enforcement perspective, even a head constable today can go around arresting somebody who is touted to be a foreigner and can hand them over to the BSF, which was not the case previously. Previously, there were too many checks and balances in place, which would prevent them from doing something. Now, I personally come from Murshidabad, and I was born and brought up in Calcutta. So I have seen, as a casualty of illegal immigration, I have seen Bengal becoming a sort of a refugee camp for illegal immigrants from across the border. Murshidabad in 1951, as everybody would recall, had a majority Hindu population. But then you come to 1971, 1981, it completely flips. Now, even if you apply the TFR rate of the Muslims on Murshidabad, you cannot get the kind of percentage that Murshidabad is at today. From a population perspective, the breakup of Hindu versus Muslim. So obviously there has been illegal immigration from the other side, which people have not accounted for. Now, 1987 became critical for India because 1987 is where citizenship by birth or by just solely was actually taken away. So in 1987, anybody who was born after 1987 in India was not automatically given a Indian citizenship, which was not the case prior to 1987. Which is why now that national security and control over illegal immigration is one of the biggest agenda of this government, because undocumented migration is happening, and it has become a problem for India. Where this government has not done very well is by not sending these illegal immigrants back into Bangladesh. If we compare the data of UPA versus NDA, you will see roughly about 88,000 were sent back during the UPA regime, and what was sent back during the NDA regime is meager in few thousands. But what they have done is they've created deterrence across the border. So across the border, the deterrent is massive, where people do not want to come into India any longer because they fear that there is a crackdown. And now with these laws coming out, where this is a consolidation of all the colonial laws together, which includes the Foreigners Act of 2025, the other laws of 1939 and 1946, the Passport Act of 1946. So this consolidation basically ensures that there will be traceability and stronger enforcement. So now, where Ambassador Singhal also pointed out, that anybody from Pakistan who's married to an Indian citizen would now automatically have to ensure that they continue providing information to the ministry by telling them that I will have to extend my stay for another six months, and thereby there is traceability and there is accountability from even the hospitality angle. So
Okay.
hotels, hostels, everybody who houses these people will also be now accountable to ensure that there is they're providing that information, because there is
Okay.
there is a
And obviously,
there is-
and obviously with fresh threats and with how things are changing so fast in the geopolitics that we see around us, Ambassador Singhal, it can't just be the threat from Pakistan. And that's why Pakistan nationals need to register and not be allowed to go somewhere. It can happen anywhere, which is why this fresh scrutinizing, this constant monitoring is needed for all foreign nationals. Do you believe that is correct, Ambassador Singhal?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The idea, actually, we have been sort of, focusing on the neighborhood, thinking that, people coming from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar to some extent, Rohingyas, which are also come, they are the real threat. But threat can come from any place. So now this is a comprehensive, consolidation, comprehensive modifications, I would say, which has been carried out. And I'm sure there will be required some more into this. This is only the beginning, I think. As they go along, they will realize that, some tweaking is required, more tweaking is required, which will happen naturally. But the thing is, the government has now focused on this problem in a consolidated manner. That is very important. When they start with, because there's a leeway earlier, that only after 180 days, within 40 days, they were supposed to intimate the FRR, which is not taken away. Now, if somebody is staying beyond 6 months, he has to register, intimate beforehand. So the government will be able to track if somebody is not registered in 6 months, then he must leave. And now, because of this, like we are talking about the modernization, using this smart systems of keep controlling that exit visas, when they leave, they will be entry, and is becoming, going to be a centralized system. So they will be able to track on real-time basis that person who have come to India, have they left or not, after the expiry of their visa. So this is a consolidation, and as we talked about the threats, of course we are facing all threats from all around. So that is becoming really, it's becoming a real challenge for us. Apart from this illegal immigrant, which is, my colleague was talking about, particularly in West Bengal. I've served in Bangladesh, so I know the kind of problems we faced on the border. So but that aspect is being taken care of differently, I would say, when we are, when we are building the boundaries, completing the boundaries, keeping a smart systems. And of course, in Myanmar, we have a different kind of problem, which also need to be tackled, because we still face a lot of problem on that count, which is a separate issue on its own, because it has a different kind of dynamics. But at least on this Bangladesh side, I think this boundary is going to take care of a lot of issues. Now this land has been given. So this will be helpful, but consolidation, I think, is a step in the right direction, which
Okay.
will help us.
Yes, Mijal Sudhakarji. Mijal Sudhakarji, coming back in. Go ahead.
Let me make amends since I've been
Yes,
countered by
Adit, you can
media.
respond to Adit also now. Yes.
Yes. He countered me for the first time. I must compliment. Countering is actually gaining knowledge. I am very thankful to him. By no means am I saying that this initiative is actually a kind of a regressive kind of a step taken by the government. If I've said so, I stand to correct myself. All I am saying is, firstly, if it is a system which is being put into being for the first time, then what I am saying is the input which I had got before coming for the session today with you was not adequate. It was not comprehensive. What is this step being taken for? The cutout which was shared with me, I tried to dig up the things and carry out my research in 10-15 minutes. I was not convinced. So what I'm coming to is, firstly, we need to understand what is the necessity of this? Why are we doing it? Does it mean that we did not have a system like this earlier? We did have a system. There is an amendment which is being carried out, and that amendment is after expiry of 180 days, we'll be registering before that. Why is it necessitated? It is necessitated because it gives adequate time, like Aditya brought out, for enforcement agency to go on ground and check. If people are not moving, at least we can mobilize our effort and get them accountable and adopt a suitable response matrix. Second and most important thing is, when you talk about the threat has actually become in a manifold. Today, let me say there is a Captagon community which has come into India. What is Captagon? Captagon is a type of a Middle East capsule. These capsules are taken by the Middle East terrorists just to suppress the fear, just to raise their level of self-confidence and go in for Fidaini attack. There is a group of people who have come into India with these kind of tablets. Mr. Mani would be bearing with me, he may be knowing all this. So these tablets are very, very dangerous tablets. Now, who is the one who's supplying all this? There are people, there are Turkish people, there are Qataris, they have come into India, they have adopted the citizenship there with the sleeper cells. There is a big city which is coming up in front of our metropolis. India does not have any system of accountability whether these people have come legally or illegally. There is a requirement to make a humble beginning like the way we have done SIR. I'm totally in agreement with the panel, what they are saying. We need to be more vigorous and we need to be more comprehensive so that it becomes, if not foolproof, near foolproof, so that nobody can enter the boundaries of or trespass the boundaries of India without having been recorded technologically, so that there is some degree of checks and balances and not a free for all. Everyone comes for a picnic and blasts a bomb and goes back. No, that's not the way we are looking at India. India is going to be a kind of India. It's going to be a future model for the world order of safety, security, and quality of life of people of the world. Will follow our concept of G20.
Okay.
One planet, one earth, and one family.
RVS Mani, also this is a 360-degree, sort of push. While we are seeing what's happening at the border with the fencing and of course the detention centers and the move to ensure that there is no further immigration illegally that happens across the border, no infiltration, but to ensure that this exfiltration also takes place in an organized manner. So that is happening on one front, and this is also happening on one front, and perhaps there will be further steps that we'll know in the next few days as well. So clearly this shows that this is not just a political statement, but it's a strategy, and it's a 360-degree multi-pronged strategy that is now going to be the focus of the government and the Home Ministry in the days ahead.
Indeed, I agree with you that it's absolute 360-degree strategy, but there will be certain challenges. For example, take the case of Mizoram. In Tangsal district, lot of people from Myanmar come, work here and go back daily. There is also certain places like Champai in Mizoram again. So these are all certain places which have gone unnoticed. We are talking about Manipur, Myanmar border of free movement rules. But there are certain pockets in the Mizoram, the underbelly of the northeast, where these things happen. And similarly, on the Assam-Mizoram border, a few years back, there was a difference and there was some fight also, there was a conflict. There also many Myanmaris, many Rohingyas have established centers which have gone unnoticed. In fact, the Silchar district and the Kachar district, Kachar area of Assam and Mizoram northern districts are fighting about the ownership of the place where the illegals have. So these type of conflicts, these things have to be addressed comprehensively. Of course, 360-degree, absolute, all systems in place, I appreciate, and it will be calibrated to a higher level, iterated higher and higher in the days to come, so that it becomes a more robust thing. But there will be continually, we will be having this type of problem with Nepal, with Myanmar, with, of course, even if the entire because the fencing is almost only about Indo-Bangladesh border and Indo-Pakistan border.
Yes.
From Harami Nala to Indian border. LOC is still left.
Okay.
LOC is not yet covered. So there are certain issues which need to be really, Harami Nala is the catch to this Indian border. LOC, how they are going to address it? Because LOC is the largest infiltrating point of, above Pir Panjal. I mean, Pir Panjal and above. So these are all issues that will also need to be taken care of when the 360-degree is complete, right? And also dovetail it with IOJS, India officials. Earlier it was the criminal network system, so that even the criminals, overstayers, criminal syndicates, all are coming on the single radar of the intelligence agencies.
Okay.
All the overstayers. So it has to be dovetailed with few other systems of the government. Not only the immigration part, not only the citizenship part, but the criminals and the criminal network, criminal database and all that, just the judiciary database,
Okay.
IOJs, etc. So ultimately, the fag end of it, at the end of it, we will
Right.
be having a one action point program.
Right.
That should be the design. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
I'm out of time. Adit Kothari, yes, 30 seconds too.
So the one aspect that we are missing out is that how are we looking at the compliance and the accountability? So now even the hotels, the aircrafts, the carriers who will be carrying these violators or who will be housing these illegals and are not going to be providing the information to the government that there are foreigners staying in this particular property will actually be fined as well. So that is the the outdated manual process is now being sort of done away and mitigated with technology. So that is what the government has done.
Okay.
Thanks,
So
Sundar.
yes,
Thank you.
the certain loopholes and the certain gaps have been plugged, you believe, and as we said earlier, there's a very holistic policy, and of course further strengthening will also happen in due course, and I'm sure your feedbacks today also will greatly matter. All right, let's leave it at that. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on this discussion. We've run totally out of time. We're going to take a very short break. The news continues on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to NewsX.